All right, guys, we're back. We're still at the Harman booth. These guys are releasing so many products, I don't think we could cover them all. So we're over here looking at Arcam. They have integrated amplifiers here, processors, receivers, multi-channel amplifiers. I can't remember all the model numbers. My head is spinning. This guy is a brainiac here for Harman. He knows all the models, he knows all the prices, he knows all the specs, he knows the bias of the amplifiers. You can even get down to that level with this guy. So Jim, I'm going to take the mic, hand it over to you, and you're going to give us a rundown.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, again, Jim Garrett, I'm the Senior Director of Product Strategy and Planning. So I manage the product roadmaps and all the new product introductions that we do for all of our brands. So this is a cool piece that I definitely wanted to show you guys here. So Gene, as we talked before, you know, we introduced about a year ago the first two models in what we call the HDA series. And so if you go back to Arcam's heritage, the company was really founded upon music, and the very first product was an integrated amplifier. And so these are kind of the modern day versions of those. The SA10 is the one on the end. This is the SA20. They're very similar products, nearly identical feature set. The DAC and the SA20 is a little bit better, and then this uses our G-class amplifier technology. So this thing is a little powerhouse when it comes to that, and amazing sound quality. As you know, the G-class works more like a Class A amplifier at most of the listening levels you're going to have, and then the second set of rails to come in and you get the high current capability that you want for when you have those dynamic peaks. So these two available now. The SA20 is a product that sits at $1,500, and where we're taking the HTA series from here, this is the SA30. This is a product that we did a preview back in May at the Munich high-end show. And this builds upon the platform of the SA20. So we still have the same high-res DAC, we've got the analog inputs, we've actually added moving coil capability to the phono stage. So there's a lot of that similarity there, just a little more of it. We go to 120 watts instead of 80 watts over here. Where we start to really get ultra modern with this piece, we have our Google Cast streaming platform as part of this, as well as AirPlay 2. So we can do a lot of virtually everything through the Cast platform. Gives you access to virtually every streaming service you'd want. AirPlay 2 would give us the ability to do Rune through here if we wanted to do that. So that's really cool in terms of extra content. Taking it beyond that, we've included an HDMI eARC input. And you might be saying, well, eARC is the multi-channel version of ARC. Why are you doing that on a two-channel product? Well, this still gives us the ability to do high-res audio up to 192 and a two-channel application. But the reason that we have it on here beyond the audio is that I certainly would recommend, we as Harman would recommend, and probably you guys too, that a good pair of loudspeakers is better than a bunch of mediocre loudspeakers. And I personally, in one of my systems, the primary one we do, I use a 2.1 system with this and do a lot of great listening. I, in this case, have beryllium bookshelves there. So this is the type of product you could put into a system like that, have a great pair of loudspeakers, a subwoofer if you want it, and this could be the perfect companion to your new television on there. So that's really cool. In addition to that, keeping things in the audiophile realm, we have included Dirac Live calibration on this product as well too. So not only can we have all these great sources, connectivity on it, great amplifier performance, but now we can go in and do room correction for the loudspeakers that you have on it. So
question I have for you, when you're doing Dirac, does the microphone get plugged into here, or do you actually use like a PC and use a USB mic into the PC?
Yeah, so the Dirac interface is done on a computer. So you'd have your laptop there, use the Dirac Live interface there. The microphone then is a USB microphone that connects into your laptop, and then you'll take the measurements from there. We do our Harman target curve, of course, even when we're using Dirac Live or any of the acoustic measurement systems that we do. That's the curve that came from our Arcos room correction technology, so we'll use that curve in there. But the rest of it is standard Dirac Live done through a laptop.
What frequency do you go full bandwidth, or do you stop at the room transition frequency?
No, we do the target curve is full bandwidth on it. So it's the shape of the curve, and where we attenuate on the high end, it's a little bit different than the standard EQ curves that people have done. And that's come out of, as we mentioned before with Sean Olive and Floyd Toole, decades of listener research on the preferred performance that people like. It doesn't matter where they are around the world. If people say, well, some people like bass, some don't, or whatever, everybody likes the same performance. And when you eliminate any of the visuals, do the double-blind testing and things like that, that we've been able to determine over decades of that, the listener preferences, which have resulted in the Harman target curve.
The nice thing about having the microphone being a USB mic is there might be cases where this unit is installed in a rack that's not close to the listening area and you can't run a long microphone cable to. By doing it on the PC or the laptop, you basically could calibrate anywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. And Dirac works. Once you've got that and you've done the final tweaks in the UI for Dirac in it, then you're basically porting those into the unit, saving it locally in the unit.
Awesome. So why don't we take a look now at the receivers, the processors, and multi-channel amplifiers?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we step behind me here, so we've got a complete new range of AV products in here. This includes a new 16-channel surround processor, a couple of 16-channel AVRs, and then a 12-channel AVR as well. So this is an in-house developed platform that we've done. 16 channels, of course, gives you everything you need for Dolby Atmos, DTSX. We've included Auro 3D on the 16-channel versions of it up here. The products themselves, we're offering in 3 flavors, if you will. So the AV40 is the flagship, and that's the surround processor. The feature set is identical on every one of these units. It's just a matter of whether they have power or not, and what kind of power. So again, with the processor, the AV40 down there, that's at $4,500, 16 channels, all the surround formats. That includes our Google Cast streaming platform. It's ready for Control 4 and Savant and Crestron, all the modules on it. Really everything you can imagine. Some of the best HDMI out there. And I think the great thing about the Arcam products is, hands down, the Arcam receivers are the best sounding receivers out there. And that comes back from the history of the brand. We were founded on music, and we've put a lot of effort into minimizing jitter through the HDMI circuitry. Definitely the lowest amount of jitter, and obviously that affects the sound quality. So these are very musical receivers in that respect, and rock solid HDMI performance. So all of that is common, as I mentioned again, to all of the models. The processor, the AV40 down there, no power, use outboard power amps. The AVR 30 is the flagship receiver. This one has 7 channels of our G-class power on it. We very conservatively rate that at 7 by 100 on there. The AVR 20 is a Class AB amplifier.
Just to interrupt you real quick, when he says 7 by 100 conservatively rated, that's likely an all channels driven rating, right? It's
yeah.
One channel driven at 6 ohms at 10% on Tuesday.
Right, exactly. It's actually a rating on any day that ends in Y. It will actually do that amount of power. So yeah, and with the G-Class, it's something that a lot of people, when you stop to think about the wattage wars, and it's like, well, it's got to be 200 watts or it's not worth anything. I can tell you that 100 watts in there will outperform most outboard power amps with much higher ratings on it. And we've actually run very high-end $60,000 theaters running off of this AVR with 100 by 7, and it's astonishing what that amplifier is capable of driving.
So how many processing channels are in that?
So you have 16 channels of processing, so this will do native 9.1.6 processing. In terms of power, there's only 7 channels, so the lower level 7 channels are what we provide amplification for. You cannot reassign them. We did not include that capability. It gets very complex and expensive to do that, and it can end up being a confusion for the consumer that's saying, I now have voices coming out of the rear, what have I done wrong? So we didn't do that. And in terms of why we don't have 16 channels of power on here, for us, it's really an issue of the quality versus the quantity. And we know that a lot of people, even though they're buying these 16 channel formats, AVRs, are not necessarily using them in 16 channel applications. A lot of people are still doing 7.1 or even 5.1 or 7.1.4. So we chose to give you the highest possible amplification we could for the primary channels. Then you can, if you're going to expand the system out, then you'd use an outboard amplifier to run the rest of it.
I like that approach, because what we're seeing a lot since Atmos came out is receiver companies that are taking 7-channel platforms, cramming 9, 11, 13 channels into the same size chassis, using the same size power supply and heatsink area. You're not getting that much power with all those channels driven, and in fact, you're becoming a space heater because these things are running so hot.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these, we didn't want to we could have easily put in Class D amplification and put in 16 channels of power, but to us that doesn't meet the standard of performance and musicality that we want to have out of these products. And like you said, you got one power supply in here, so if you're trying to drive 16 channels off one power supply, well, the only effective way to do that would be a box that's 2 to 3 times this size in order to do any justice to that many channels. Yeah, and a couple of AC outlets as well too.
So
yeah.
what version of Dirac Dirac is shipping with these right now? What version, and does it include the new one where it does multi-sub management?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do use Dirac Live, so this is the new version of it that's found in this product. And in the new version that they're doing on it, so you can save up to 3 presets, which is one of the things that's changed in it. Now they are, as was announced here at the show, offering a version with bass management, and there's 2 versions of that, single sub and multi-sub. So these come with the basic version of Dirac Live, and then if the consumer wants to purchase the additional bass management for the subwoofers, that's available that you can do as a download from Dirac. And that, of course, works through the interface, the Dirac Live interface. So you would unlock that capability with them.
Nice. You want to do like a 30-second overview of the amplifier?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about these AVRs. There is a 4th one down here. This is the AVR 10, which is a 12-channel platform. So it loses Auro 3D, but it has most of the rest of the features that are found on the others. It's just a 7.1.4. And this gets us down to a $2,500 price point. And I will mention, too, that our AVR 390, which is the current entry level, we have repriced and have left in the market at $1,500, so $1,499 price point. So somebody that's looking for true Arcam level performance in an AVR, thinks maybe they can't afford it, definitely want to check that out. So in the new products, so of course with the processor, or even the AVRs with 7 channels of power on board, you're going to want to have some external power amps. So we've got 2 new G-class power amps here. The PA720 is a 7-channel G-class power amp, very, again, conservatively rated, 7x120. Beside it, the PA240 that's here is a 2x200 G-class. This one is not bridgeable, this one is, and this one will bridge to a little over a kilowatt of power into a 4-ohm load on it. So the great thing about this one, in stereo, of course, again, 200 doesn't even begin to do it justice for what it can drive. But I could have this as a nice amplifier to run to main channel speakers. I could do this as a bridged monoblock and have these to run in literally whatever speaker you wanted to have on there.
You could take the new Revel flagships that you have over there with the beryllium drivers and run a monoblock pair of these.
Absolutely, absolutely. And at the price point we have on these, this is a $2,500 amplifier. So it's an astounding value in that case on it. And if you think, a pair of these, $5,000 for a pair of them, you have 1,000-watt monoblocks for $5,000. So yeah, so those are great. There is a 3rd amplifier right here. We do have a smaller Class AB 50x4, and this is an amplifier that we use a lot of times. People that are doing a basic 7.1.4, this is a great amplifier that you can use as an add-on to the AVR and then have complete 11 channels of power.
So you would use those for the height channels then?
Yeah, it typically would be used for the height channels, and you use the onboard power here. That would be for the lower level speakers. So this is great stuff. All of these is a whole amazing new line of AV products from Arcam is going to be available near the end of the year here. So shipping basically in Q4. And I think we've got some pretty amazing price points for the technology, and super excited about these things. I think it's going to be one of the best AVRs on the market.
So I'll just ask you, because we're getting more into home automation these days, will this work with Control 4? Do you have drivers for it?
Yeah, so all of these are set up so you can see on the back of them, so we've got full control capability. So from a network side and from RS-232, we got triggers and IR and all that stuff. So controllability is certainly here. And then as far as compatibility with third-party controls, so Crestron, Control 4, Savant, all of those modules are ready to go out of the box for this product.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it. Jim gave us a great rundown of all these products. I can't believe Arcam has such diversity in processing, receivers, all the way down to, I think you said that one model is now $1,500. Yep. I didn't even think you could get an Arcam receiver for $1,500.
Now you can.
That's awesome. Yep. Guys, if you like this video, please thumb it up. Please subscribe to our channel, share the wealth. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/Audioholics. We'll give you content sooner there than sometimes you see it on YouTube. Jim, thanks again for all of this rundown of your products. I could have done it without you.
Thank you.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, keep listening.